Good morning, everyone. My name is Roy. I will be the discussant for the ratio analysis topics. In this topics, we're about to learn the four objectives. First objective is the importance of ratio analysis. It is the data summarizes and simplify. It serves as instrument of management control. Second objectives is determine suitable liquidity. It means that every company has to ensure that some of its assets are liquid to overcome short-term obligations and liquidate immediately into cash. So the liquidity of a firm is measured by ratios such as the current ratio and the quick ratio. Third determines assets profitability. It means that ratio analysis assesses manager to work out the production of the company by figuring the profitability ratio. It also, the management can evaluate their revenues to check their productivity. And the last determines the operational efficiency. Operational efficiency, it means that with the help of ratio analysis, we can check and update the certain degree of efficiency of the company and the management of its assets and other resources. So these are the four objectives that we are about to learn as we go through in this discussions with regards to the ratio analysis. So why ratio analysis is important? Why? Because measures financial solvency. It means that it is concerned to evaluate the firm's performance. So the ratio is very important in evaluating the performance of a firm and, and point out the firm's liquidity position to meet its short-term obligations and long-term solvency. Why ratio analysis is important? Because forecasting and planning. Ratio that are derived after analyzing, scrutinizing the past results helps the management policies and to prepare budgets to formulate and prepare the plans of actions. So ratio is very important in forecasting and planning. Why ratio analysis is important? Because facilitate decision making. It throws light on the degree of efficiency. Again, it is efficiency. So of the management and utilization of the assets. And that is why it is called a surveyor of efficiency. So it was really very clear, the word efficiency. Why ratio analysis is important? Because corrective action. Ratio analysis provides the inter-firm comparison. Okay, I'll give you an example for that. Like they avoid this company and the middle. So they often do a comparison to their liquidity, to their profits as well. They're competing for each other, right? So it highlights the factors associated with successful or unsuccessful. If the comparison shows an unfavorable variable, corrective actions can initiate. It helps the management to take corrective actions. So kung makita nila na pa lamang yung isa. So ano ba yung kailangan natin na gawin? So it applies the corrective actions para makumpit mo yung competitors mo. Kasi may comparison eh. So that is the corrective action. Last, the objectives of ratio analysis. The main objectives of ratio analysis are to show a firm's relative strength and weaknesses. So it is all about the strength and weaknesses of the company. Why there is ratio analysis? Because through that ratio analysis, we can check, we can find out that the firm is not good in standing. So it always ratio analysis plays a big role in industry or in the firms in the financial statement analysis. So what is ratio analysis? Okay, it always um interrelated to the financial statement analysis because the ratio analysis is a partner of the financial statement analysis because you where you can find the ratio analysis, you can find it in the balance sheet and the income, or they call it a financial position, and then comparative, the compare, um, we call this comprehensive income statement. So in that two financial statements where we can found the ratio analysis. Okay. According to the investor standpoint, the ratio analysis is predicting the future, is what a financial analysis is all about. Because in that sense, you are checking your your assets, you're checking your expenses. So you predict the future. And the management standpoint, it is the financial analysis is useful both to help over help to anticipate future conditions and more important as a starting point for planning actions that will improve future performance. So this is a starting point for planning actions. So if you look at in your financial positions that your company is not in good standing, is not good in positions, therefore you need to make a good strategic plan for the starting point for your actions na ma-cope up mo yun, na hindi na siya maging mababa. Kaya ang ratio analysis ginagamit upang ma-measure yung standing ng finances, yung standing yung the the foundations of your money in your business. That's why what is ratio analysis is all about. It is also a valuable of gaining insights regarding a firm's strength and weaknesses. So it also goes about the strength and weaknesses of a firms. Ratio analysis is the comparison of line items in the financial statements, as I said earlier, of a business. Is used to evaluate a number of issues with an entity, such as its liquidity, efficiency of operations, and profitability. So the factors or the ratio analysis we can play is on the liquidity, efficiency, and the operations and profitability of your business. There are three basic categories of ratio analysis. Trend analysis. The trend analysis used to evaluate a firm's performance over time. So dito mo makikita kung yung down ba o tumaas ba yung profit ni company. Kaya andyan si trend analysis. Second categories of ratio analysis is the cross-section analysis. A different firm are compared at the same point and time. So you see in these pictures, same numbers of people, but different in position, but we compare at the same point. So the productivity, it's always go to the efficiency of the business. You know, the ratio analysis is always go to the strength and weaknesses of the firm. Third, industry comparative analysis. It compares of firms' ratios against average ratio for another companies in the firm's industry. We evaluate the firm's financial performance relatively to industry norms. So dito, sa industry comparative analysis, it applies yung kung ano na nangyari sa negosyo niyo. Sa, lalo na nung nakaraang pandemic. So a lot of companies are facing problems. Nag-down yung profits nila. So mababa yung ratios nila. Yun yung naging weakness ng nakaraang pandemic. So let's go. The types of financial ratios. First, liquidity ratio. Second, asset management ratios. Third, debt management ratios. Fourth, profitability ratios. Liquidity ratio. Liquidity ratio shows the relationship of a firm used to measure a company's ability to meet its short-term obligations. Its ability to convert its assets into cash to meet its short-term obligation. So, under the liquidity ratio, the current ratio is a measure of company ability to pay its current liabilities, or the accounts payable rather, with the current assets such as cash, marketable securities, inventories, and accounts receivables. A current ratio of a greater than or equal to 1 means company should be able to meet its short-term obligation. This also called working capital. So the formula for current ratio, the current assets divide current liabilities. Second, quick ratio. One of the limitations with the current ratio is that not all current assets may get converted into cash. So, meaning, hindi lahat ng mga current assets ay ma-convert into cash quickly, such as inventories. Thus, quick ratio is alternate choice to measure the liquidity which does not include inventory and freighted expenses. So, alternate lang, say, quick ratio. Asset management ratios. So asset management ratios is a set of ratios that measure how effective a firm is managing its assets. It is indicate extent to which assets are turned over or used to support sales. So the asset turnover, there are three turnover ratio. First, the inventory ratio. The inventory turnover ratio is calculated by dividing sales by inventories. And the fixed asset turnover ratios calculated by dividing sales by total assets. And the fixed asset turnover ratio measures how effective the firm uses its plant and equipment. So the ratio of sales to net fixed asset, that's the fixed asset turnover ratio. And then the total asset turnover ratio, the final asset management ratio to the total asset turnover ratio measures to turnover of all the firm's assets, and it is calculated by dividing sales by total assets. Debt management ratios. The extent to which a firm uses debt financing or financial leverage has three important implications. One, by raising funds through debt, stockholders can control a firm with a limited amount of equity investment. Creditors look to the equity or owner supplied funds to provide a margin of safety. So the higher the proportion of the total capital provided by stockholders, the less the risk faced by creditors. If the firm earns more on its assets than the interest rate it pays on debt than using debt leverage, or magnifies the return on equity return or ROE. What is a financial leverage? The use of debt financing. So under the debt management ratios, there are two: the total debt to total assets, the time interest earned ratio. The total debt to total assets, the ratio of the total debt assets generally called the debt ratio measures the percentage of funds provided by creditors. So debt ratio equals the total debt over the total asset times interest earned ratio. The time interest earned ratio is determined by dividing earnings before interest and taxes, or EBIT. So the ratio of earnings before interest and taxes, EBIT to interest charges, a measure of the firm's ability to meet its annual interest payments. EBIT, the coverage ratio, equals EBITDA plus lease payment, interest plus principals plus lease payment. A ratio whose numerator includes all cash flows available to meet fixed financial charges and whose denominator includes all fixed financial charges. Profitability ratios. Profitability ratios are a group of ratios that show the combined effects of liquidity, asset management, and that on operating result. The profit margin on sales. This ratio measures net income per dollar of sales. It is calculated by dividing net income by sales. So look at the profit margin on sales equals to net income over sales. The return on total assets, the ratio of the net income to total assets, equals net income divided total assets. Basic earning power ratio, or BIP. This ratio indicates the ability of the firm's assets to generate operating income, calculated by dividing EBIT by total assets. Return on common equity, or ROA. The ratio of net income to common equity measures the rate of return on common stockholders' investment. The return on common equity, the bottom line accounting ratio, is the return on common equity found as follows. The ROA equals net income over common equity. And this is the end of my topics. Thank you. And good morning once again. And now I will share to you my 5 slides. So why is financial statement analysis is so important? All companies' financial statements analysis are very important in all aspects. Why? Because that is how measured and monitored the condition or standing of the money in the business. This is for check and balance of the situation of your money in the business. The process of reviewing and analyzing a company's the process of determining the financial strength and weaknesses of the entity by establishing a strategic relationship between the items of the financial statements. Through financial statements analysis, you can detect or what's going on, specifically the condition of the profits and revenues. The basis of translating the whole picture of profits and losses of your business. Financial analysis will help the company understand its financial condition, credit worthiness, profitability, ability to generate wealth. It will also give a more in-depth look at how well it operates internally. In the actual practice of each the companies we work with, like in banking industries and service such as auditing and accounting firms, as what I'm connected now in UHY in Milagiri, the product services or manufacturing, etc., the analysis of financial statements is crucial for the following reasons. The share of investment holding. The share of investment holding only companies such as investments happen when it repeated transfers and ensures time and again. They may have to decide on whether to continue based on the price, traffic, and reliability factors. Therefore, a company's analysis in the financial statements is crucial to making decisions since it reflects all information that is meaningful to the stakeholders' decision process. So, plans, decision, and management. Financial statements analysis is essential for a company's decision. Planning and management. The company management is responsible for making smart and intelligent calls on investment plans backed by data analytics with planning for a bright future and maximum benefits after all. Thus, compared to statements in the recent past, the future goals and the predicted performances are endemic to the decision making of shareholders, company, and analysts. They're providing credits. Shareholders offers loans to the company as its capital. So the decision to provide an extend capital credit is always based on financial examination of their companies, financial statements, and performance over time. All capital loans carry an interest rate, and in determining the best rate is a part of the decision process in making credit loans to companies. Last, decision on investment. Investors with surplus investable capital always look for opportunities to place their funds and as investment, profitable and profit potential companies. And this investor looks at the past performance and predicted profits before investing such funds. So, what is the objective of conducting financial analysis of your company? Financial analysis is used to evaluate the business, project budgets, and other finance related transactions to determine their performance and suitability. Financial analysis then to analysis whether an entity is stable, solvent, liquid, or profitable enough to warrant monetary investment. How do the financial analysis of companies check the FS? How to do the financial analysis rather? Check the FS, a financial statement, use capital statement, comparative statements, and analysis ratios. So I already discussed the analysis ratios. So which of the ratios are commonly used by investors or creditors based on the investor's view? Ideally, investors' ratios should be based on forecasting earnings, dividends, assets, values, cash flows, since these figures are often. So the most common use are the following: earning per share, price earnings, dividend yield, and dividend cover, cash flow. Based on the creditor's view, coverage ratio, and liquidity ratios. How important financial ratio analysis? Financial ratio helps investors in deciding whether to invest a company or not. Investors track a company's performance and can help early identification of trends. Investor compare the performance of the company against its competitor and industry as a whole. So understanding the key financial ratios and what they say about your business health is an important part of managing your business finances. Financial ratios can help entrepreneurs create effective business plans and presentation. So where the ratios come from in financial statements, on the balance sheets, and the income statements. Thank you.